This is your safe space to get honest, get elevated, and get into your next level era. Here we talk money, mindset, love, and becoming her. Because leveling up is a lifestyle. Elevate your mind and upgrade your life. This is Glow Up With Niecey, where main character energy meets real life growth. Welcome back to another Glow Up with Niecey, and the affirmation for today is my calm is my power. I decide how I show up. So I was watching the latest season of Emily in Paris, and if you have not seen it, this is a spoiler alert, so probably move on. It was when Emily found out that her best friend Mindy was actually messing around with her ex Alfie. And it was a fact that Emily was so calm in that matter. She said it was fine and she kept it moving. And I always told a lot of us, like, what if we were ever in a situation like that where we found like a best friend of ours or somebody close to us was messing around our ex or our partner, whomever? How would we react? And this is always important to remain calm in any surrounding, because when you remain calm, you feel like you are in control. That person does not feel in control. And I'm not trying to be manipulative. I'm not trying to be like, this is not one of how to manipulate this person, or this isn't about power. This is about yourself. When you're at the stage where you are leveling up and everything is playing out for you, everything is working for you, there's going to be a lot of instances where the devil is going to try to bring you down. There are going to be a lot of instances where there are people that you thought that were with you are literally secretly against you and trying to prey on your downfall. And the question is, how are you going to remain calm in that process to keep it moving, go on about your business? And I always think about that because I've been in many situations, even from me thinking back in high school to college to now in adulthood. There are many instances where I gave too much people too much of me and I wasn't calm in that process. And I didn't like how I felt afterwards because it made that person feel like they had one up over me. It reminded me of an instance back in high school when it was about, I think my sophomore, junior year. I was dating this one guy and I had a friend, but she went to a different high school. And we found out we were dating the same guy. The reason why I found out is because we all, as a group of friends, went to the movies and I had invited him and he said he couldn't go. And then when I end up, I see him with my friend and he saw me and he was shocked. Like he didn't know what to say. And I was very calm in that process. I didn't say anything. And the crazy part about it is they sat right behind me when I was in front with my friends. And it was a fact that even as a high schooler in that situation, I remained calm as day because I didn't want anybody to have any power over me. I didn't want anybody to think because of what they're doing that had any power over me. I didn't want anybody to think that they were important in my life for me to react. Since we're talking about stepping into our best selves, let me put you on FYTOO glasses, which is FYTOO. They instantly level up your look while you're at work, brunch, or just on Zoom. Plus, you could get 15% off by using my code NIECEYS, NIECEYYS. And also, if you want to get some prescription glasses without breaking the bank, definitely hit up FYTOO. And I thought about that moment because I said to myself, like, damn, I was really in high school. Props to my family for teaching me how to stay grounded. Well, I was in high school, and to think about that and how calm I remained instead of crashing out, as the young kids would say these days, I was actually proud of myself in that moment because I've learned how to, in many situations, master staying calm under any conditions. And it's something that, don't get me wrong, there are some times where I do probably have my little crash out. But since of lately, as I got older and I started leveling up and I know how much I have to lose, I would never let anybody make me go down or stoop down to their level. Never do that. That's why when it comes to any situation with family, friends, acquaintances, enemies, whomever, you would never let me stoop down to your level. I'm always going to remain calm in that process because I have God on my back and I'm never going to let that get to me. I thought about it. I read an article online because you guys know I love reading different articles online. And it talked about pinpointing different things how to remain calm under pressure. Let's talk about being provoked. Because when I tell you, people out here will provoke you, what would you do if you are at your last straw and somebody's keep picking at you, and you're trying to remain calm, you're trying not to get out of character, you're trying to focus on your goal, and somebody's picking at you. There are many instances where I felt like people provoked me because they felt like, oh my gosh, she's very calm, she's not going to do anything. And it stems from me as a child, because as a child, I was very shy, I was very light spoken. I wasn't really popular, so I was just me. I had my little group of friends. I was cool with that. I was consider us the normal group, whatever. And a lot of times people would provoke me. And I think people provoked me because they thought when I was weak, they thought this, they thought that, they thought this. I even had teachers that would provoke me. And I thought about it and I said to myself, even as a little kid, learning that how to stay strong, like how to think about certain things, because when you're being provoked, you have to literally sit down and think, okay, if you react, you got to calculate this. If you react, that means one, maybe you react to the point that you do something and you end up in jail. Number two, maybe you react that you do something that the person ends up really hurt or you're hurt. Number three, you react and maybe that person feel like they have power over you and they turn everybody against you. And number four, if you react, you feel that on yourself and you feel heavy. That's why I always try my best to remain calm when somebody provokes me. But one thing I'm never going to do, I'm never going to let somebody provoke me and I'm going to just be okay with it. I'm going to say my little 1 or 2 words in the most calm way and I'm going to keep it moving. One, I'm not going to let anybody disrespect me. And number two, I'm not going to let you jeopardize the stuff that I built for myself because of your insecurity. I'm not going to do that. That's one thing I could always tell you. When you are leveling up and glowing up, there's always going to be somebody that's going to provoke you to bring you down to that level, especially when you are in a bigger and better position. For instance, surprisingly, take Gorilla's sister, for instance. She's on the internet complaining about how Gorilla doesn't really fend for the family, doesn't provide for the family, X, Y, and Z. She's literally provoking Gorilla. And Gorilla's just being calm. She's collected. She's growing up. She's stepping into her femininity. She's not having that scarcity struggle mindset. She's trying to really alleviate herself. She's in a relationship. She's happy. She's evolving. And look at somebody provoking her. And it's family. When I tell you, it's crazy, but sometimes family are the number one people that provoke you when you are trying to be calm, cool, and collected. They're literally the number one. You know why I realized that? It's because some, not all, there are some family members that seen you at a certain level. So then when you elevate yourself and you're at a different level, because they're not too happy that you're at that level and you're remaining more calmer, you're more in tune with yourself, you feel more good about yourself now, they want to stoop you down to a level to their level because they don't have a high mindset for themselves. They don't have a high standard for themselves as opposed to you. We have to sit down and think about it, because sometimes when you're provoked, it's because something's wrong going on with them. So they try to pick at other people. And that's pretty much why they're picking at you. This goes to my next topic, talking about workplace microaggressions. And the reason why I say that, because a lot of microaggressions come from the most provoked way possible. And I don't even know if that's even proper grammar. The reason why I say that is because I'll never forget, I had a coworker and there was one time, I think she made a mistake and she had a supervisor or manager call her and was cussing her out on the phone. And she sat there, listened and cried and complained to me about that. And I said, you didn't hang up the phone? No, because she's disrespecting you. Yeah, that's my calm response. I would have hung up that phone because first I would have said, who are you talking to? You are not talking to me. You are not talking to me. I would have hung up that phone with a quickness. I would have remained cool, calm, and collected. I would be like, as soon as I started hearing, Blah! You would have been talking to yourself at that exact moment. And it's just crazy to me what would provoke her to get on the phone and chastise somebody because they made a mistake. And this could have been discussed in a professional manner. There are people at work that literally provoke you because their home life is terrible. Because that same coworker that was crying on the phone, sometimes she would provoke me in the most way with her microaggressions that it used to piss me off. But I remain cool, calm, and collected. Because I know for a fact, when I left that job, she was blocked. The only way I had her number was because she was my backup and I was her backup. But apart from that, she was blocked. I know this is Black History Month, but especially as a Black woman, sometimes when we are trying to be calm and we try to keep to ourselves, that's seen as we have an attitude or an issue, and other people see that as ways to make microaggressions. If we just sit down and listen to somebody talk and we're not really saying nothing, they consider that, oh, like, you're not listening. You are, why your face look like that? Fix your face. Why don't you smile? Like, what's up with those microaggressions? Those are unnecessary and those are uncalled for. The best way that I could tell you how to handle those situations, because I found an article online, be direct, but stay calm. My favorite thing is to say, can you explain what do you mean by that? So whenever somebody makes, and I feel like this could go everywhere. This is not even at the workplace. I feel like this is everywhere. Whenever somebody make a slip remark, I always like to say, what do you mean by that? Can you explain that? Or my favorite thing, what an odd thing to say. Because when the person repeats it, now they know they look stupid. What I learned is that you never want the person to see you react in a manner. You want to still look like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I hear exactly what you're saying. Okay, that's an odd thing to say. What do you mean by that? Can you explain that? Because when you remain calm, and you ask them that, they realize how stupid as hell that sounds to them for them to even ask you that. I never forget one time I had a coworker, and because, I'm a Black woman and I like to wear like different hair, she made a remark and she was like, oh my gosh, your hair like changes like every single day. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you do that? And what is this in your hair? And I was like, what do you mean by that? Because at this point, she's like, and then she said to herself, oh my God, that's my ignorance. I didn't say it. She just said that. Because what do you mean by that? Why does my hair intrigue you so much? What's up with your microaggressions? And how is it that I can still remain calm in certain situations? Because I've had many coworkers say things to me that was very crazy. I was even talking to my mom the other day about this. And I don't think it was a microaggression. It's the fact that I remain calm with this question. So when I used to work in a workplace, and my office used to be right in the front. And I'm a person, I drink a lot of water. And when I drink a lot of water, sometimes you're going back and forth to the bathroom. And I never forget, I had a coworker ask me, do you have a UTI or are you pregnant? Because you keep going to the bathroom back and forth. I was calm, and I was like, that's very odd. What does my health have to do with you? And I said it in the most calm way. Because why would you say something like that? No, seriously, why would you say something like that? What would possess you to wake up in the middle of the night and say, you know what, this is exactly what I'm going to say to somebody, X, Y, and Z, and then go to work that morning and say it? Literally, I don't know how I remain calm in many situations, because especially being in my position as somebody that's continued to try to climb up the ladder in the corporate world, I try my best to be calm and under every circumstances. And in situations like those, I just respond and say, that's very odd, or what do you mean by that? Can you explain that? Or why would you say something like that? Because I know how things could be twisted around, turn around to make it look like I'm being the aggressor when I'm not. And number two, this is the perfect way for me to put that in the back of my head to always watch out for you. Setting boundaries with documentation. So when you are in the workplace, I feel like this is everywhere, but when you are in the workplace specifically and you're trying to remain calm, especially when experiencing microaggressions, you have to document your experiences. I will be honest, in many situations that I've been in, the examples I presented to you, I've never documented and sent it to HR or sent it to higher up and sent to above. I documented, kept it in the back of my mind that I know this type of person you are, and I know how to keep my distance, and I know what to do. I learned to keep my words at a minimum. I know not to engage. I know how to keep my distance and keep it moving. And that's something that I had to have in the back of my mind moving forward. I may have not wrote it down physically, but in my mind mentally, I had that documented, that I know the type of person that you are and your aggressions and what you say towards me. I'm gonna not let this person get to me. When you don't remain calm in certain situations, people see you as like the terrible person. And this doesn't relate to the workplace. This is totally different. But you guys remember the situation with Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. And I was a Nicki Minaj girly, but nowadays she's different. But Cardi is always gonna be my girl. She's my girl from the Bronx. And me and her are like cousins in the back of my head. The only thing that I wish Cardi did was when she said that Nicki was talking about her child. I wish she had remained calm in that situation. And I'm a part of Barty Gang down and not show Nicki the upper hand, if you get what I'm saying. Because nothing happened with Cardi B. She still got her endorsements. She's still bigger and better and striving, etc. But what I'm saying is that could have went extremely wrong if something had happened. and somebody was really injured, like seriously life threatened. And I just think about situations like that. I just wish Cardi was a little bit more calm in that situation and did not let Nicki get to her. Yes, I understand exactly. Nobody should mess with anybody's child. But I feel like she probably should have gotten to the booth. Should have started rapping. Like, look at my girl, Remy Ma. My Remy Ma is another girl. She's from the Bronx. And what she did, she remained calm. That sister girl went to jail, sat down, thought about, replayed, and remembered, and came out and threw an entire diss record to Nicki Minaj. Diss record. Entire diss record. And remained completely calm. It's the same thing with the Kendrick and Drake situation. Like, I like Drake's music down. But when Kendrick was very calm with it and threw an entire diss records, I was like, damn. And that's just being cool, calm, and collected. Because, you know, when you're calm, the person doesn't know your next step. They don't know what you're thinking, what you're going to do. They do not know. And that's why being calm always wins. Because these are the top three things. It keeps your peace. It promotes rational thinking. And things are not worth your time. So when it comes to keeping your peace, when you remain calm in certain situations, especially when you're leveling up and people are trying to scoop you down and bring you down to their level, when you keep calm, you're keeping your peace and you are learning self-mastery. You're learning to love yourself. You're learning not everything is worth your time, which is another bullet. You're learning your peace is your highest priority. Because when it comes to me, when I told you the situation about how I saw the guy I was dating and he was dating a friend, because at the end of the day, the same friend, she went on to continue to date him. They broke up, yeah, but our relationship got rocky then, because at this point I know your loyalty, but that's besides the point. It's the fact that I kept my peace. Because now that I knew, one, she wasn't a true friend. Number two, he was a terrible guy for me to even be dating. And number three, I learned how to master keeping my peace and keep it moving. Because in high school and in adult life, you're going to experience a certain situation like that. But it's always recommended that you keep your peace. My mother always told me that there are some instances where you really want to yell at people, cuss people out. You could do et cetera, et cetera. But that's going to drain your energy. And it's like you're stooping down to their level. And you are at a much higher level than them. That's why in the back of my mind, I always try to remain calm, cool, and collected. I try not to let people see me down. And that's something that I had to really sit back and realize, especially as I continue to get older. And I continue to understand something. Like, this is one thing that Charlamagne said that always stuck with me. And it's probably, many other people probably said it, but listen to what Charlamagne said. He said, when you're in certain situations, calculate your jail time. Because I'm going to be very honest with you. We need to sit down and calculate our jail time to prevent us from being in situations because we weren't remaining calm. We weren't keeping ourselves at peace. Because if we sit down and think about it, there are many situations where I could have been in a different situation I am today. Because that situation with the guy that I was dating in high school, and I found out my so-called friend was dating him at the same time as well. Now, what if I got into a fight with her? We could have been arrested because we were at the movie theater. We could have been arrested. I could have had on my record. I could have went to juvie. Like, think about so many different things like that if I never stayed calm. I never kept my peace. My life probably could have went down a different route than what it is right now. But I just wish in situations that I de-escalate certain situations instead of escalating them. Because one thing I noticed that when people like to talk down on you and spit on you and do stuff like that, they want you to stoop down to their level. And at the left right now, we have accomplished so much in life that that's the last thing I ever want to think about doing. That's why it's always important to promote rational thinking, as I talk about the bullet point. Rational thinking is very important because it actually sits down and has you think, okay, like I said, what Charlamagne always said, calculate your jail time, because that is a huge factor. When you sat down and actually do rational thinking, you actually do your pros and cons and you actually think about it. And the time you sat down to think about it, sometimes you actually calm yourself down and you don't want to move on to do what you're going to do. I remember the time that I was I was with a friend years ago, and this was like when I was probably like in my early 20s, like 20, 21, 22. And I went to the club, my friend. She left me to be with some guy, whatever. So I'm there at the bar by myself. And I seen there was this big woman. I don't know what possessed her, but she kept egging me on, provoking me out of nowhere. I'm trying to move. I said, excuse me. She wouldn't move. She kept pushing me. It's like she was fisting for a fight, or she was just trying. I don't know what she was doing. it's crazy how I just sat down and thought about that. And I'm just like, at your big age, what are you doing? Like, because when I say she was a grown woman, she was a grown woman. I was like in my early, she was fishing for a fight. The reason why I said I knew she was fishing for a fight is because it's the fact that every time I try to say excuse me, she would push me so I won't move out of the way. The whole time I'm trying to like move and she wouldn't move. It wasn't until somebody came and I was able to swoop around and to leave. She was provoking me in that situation, which could have ended wrong. I probably could have got my ass beat or jumped. Number two, what if I had fought her and then the police went and got arrested, both of us? And number three, God forbid, she probably would have had my ass in a headlock and tried to kidnap me. I just think about so many different things like that, because when you're younger, you're not really thinking like that because my brain wasn't fully developed yet. That's why rational thinking is very important. You have to think things through. Like the way that I grew up, and I'm so happy with the background that I grew up, especially being like a Jamaican background from New York. I always try to think of survival skills. I'm always thinking, how am I going to survive a situation? And maybe everybody have that skills overall. I'm just speaking from my own experience. I'm always thinking about survival skills. I'm always thinking about, okay, what if this happened? How am I going to get around it? Okay, how am I going to push through? How am I going to do that? I'm always thinking about my survival skills in any situation I'm in, because things could go badly than I expected, and then it's going to be me that's going to end up in trouble. And the last thing I want to do is bring shame on my family. After all the accomplishments that I made, no. No. All the things that I went through, the last thing I would ever want to do is bring shame on my family. So that's why I always think about rational thinking. And I think about all the sacrifices that my grandparents and my parents made coming from Jamaica to bring me up here to have a better life. I'm thinking about, wow, what kind of legacy would I leave on? To be somebody that's worthless? No, man. No. That's not gonna work. No, I just can't do that. And that's what I think about rational thinking. I feel like I came from a great upbringing, right? I'm not going to let somebody that came from a bad upbringing try to bring me down to their level. That's why I'm always going to remain calm in every situation. Every situation, because I feel like that's a part of growing up, leveling up, glowing up, everything overall. When you're elevating yourself, again, as I said before, you are going to come across people that really want you to stoop down to their level. And I feel like I'm going to keep repeating it because it's something that we always have to think in the back of our mind. People do not want to see you doing well, and they're going to try to bring you down to their level. And it's best that you remain calm, because when you remain calm, you understand that things are not worth your time. There are some people that are seriously not worth your time and energy to argue, to yell, and to cuss at. It's not worth your time. To let them know that you have no power, you hold no weight, and I'm not super down to your level. I have higher standards. I have bigger things for myself. I have accomplished so much to go down to your level. Because when I think about it, I have my master's degree, my bachelor's, my associate. I have 6 certifications. I have this, I have that. And the last thing I'm going to do is let somebody come and try to bring me down to their level. For what? For what? To earn brownie points? To prove what to whom? Because I'm at the point in my life, I don't have to prove anything to anyone. When you learn that you have nothing to prove to anyone, that's when things go up from there. And thinking about so many situations that I've been through, if it wasn't for me having more better thinking, acknowledging things better, and truly understanding that, baby girl, what are you doing? I don't think I would have been the level that I am today. And it's not to brag, it's not to boast. It's to show how grateful and thankful I am. Because when you think back at many situations that could have ended up left for me, God was right there and brought me right back on track. Clock it. It's like, that's why, literally why Charlemagne, as much as people say a lot of things about him, that's why I like him as a media host, is because he talks from experience. He knows certain things are just not worth his time. He knows that he accomplished so much that he was not going to stoop down to certain levels. That's why he always remained calm in situations. Even when people clowned him when he was getting jumped and he was running, because he had common sense. He said, oh, hell no, I'm not about to get jumped by a whole bunch of guys and I'm outnumbered and it's only me one. I would have ran too. What? Remember that story that came out about that mother that held the door for somebody, for like a young girl? And the mother like, damn, you could have said thank you, whatever. And then the young girl got into an attitude and then she shot the mother, and the kid was a grown adult, but she watched her mother pass away from an instance of that. And I just thought about that. If she had just remained calm and let it go instead of reacting, that mother would be alive and she wouldn't be in jail today. And that's why you have to be calm when you are at a point in your life when you're leveling up and glowing up, and there are going to be people that are going to provoke you. Yes, they're going to be people that's going to bring you down. Yes, but the only advice I give to you today is the same advice that Charlemagne gives so many times: is calculate your jail time. Whatever situation that you end up in, and somebody is provoking you, and you are trying to remain calm, calculate your jail time and calculate how much you're going to lose if this one thing happens. Because when you hear a lot of stories about people that are in jail, some of them wish they had remained calm and didn't let anybody stoop them down to a certain level. And when you are in a workplace and you are experiencing microaggressions, remain calm and perfectly ask them these one or two questions. What an odd thing to say. Or can you explain further what you mean by that? Because then they'll realize that's a dumbass question and they got the answer for that dumbass question. Do not forget to document everything that you experience in the workplace that is considered a microaggression to you. Have that for your documentations and reach out to the appropriate party that's going to assist you in this matter in case anything happens. You have that well documented and well noted. Thank you guys for this episode of Glow Up with Niecey. And don't forget to subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you guys in the next week. Thanks for tuning into Glow Up with Niecey. If today's episode spoke to you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a Glow Up bestie. Want more behind the scenes and real life glow up content? Come hang with me on YouTube at Niecey's World. And if you haven't already, grab a copy of my book, Niecey's Glow Up Blueprint. It's your guide to becoming your best self. You can find it linked right here in the show notes. Until next time, keep glowing, keep growing, and never stop becoming her.